I'm a murderer who woke up in the body of a rich family's unloved, long-lost daughter. When I came to, the fake heiress was accusing me of deliberately pushing her down the stairs. My father frowned at me. How could I have a daughter as vicious as you? My mother cradled the fake heiress, then spun on me, her voice sharp. If anything happens to your sister, you can get the hell out of this house. I calmly rolled my wrists, grabbed the imposter's hair with one hand, and slammed her head against the wall. She should be dead for real this time. Before I got here, I was calmly wiping the blood from my hands. On a giant screen in the shopping mall, a breaking news bulletin with my face on it was playing on a loop. Chloe Song, female, 24 years old, wanted in connection with 8 attacks in 10 days. All victims were men with prior sexual assault convictions. Hearing the report, a smile touched my lips. 8. It was definitely 10. I pulled on a mask and was about to head out when a wave of dizziness hit me, and everything went black. A strange, mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Host match commencing transfer. The next second, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, a flood of memories that weren't mine was forced into my brain. I stared at the delicate, beautiful, and unfamiliar face in the mirror before it finally clicked. My soul had somehow been transported into the body of a young girl who happened to have the same name as me. The system's mechanical voice returned. Host, you have 1 month to complete your mission. Avenge the original Chloe Song and reclaim the life that was stolen from her. Can I kill people? I asked. No. Oh. Then I'm out. The system quickly added, upon mission completion, all the young women who were assaulted in your original world will have those traumatic experiences erased, allowing them to live normal lives. The men who wronged them will be automatically eliminated by the system. Fine. I'm in. This world's Chloe Song had lived a life more dramatic and tragic in 17 years than any trashy novel. First, shortly after she was born, the family's nanny secretly swapped her with her own daughter. The nanny's daughter got to live the life of a pampered heiress. Chloe, meanwhile, was sold off to a family in the middle of nowhere. She spent her days farming and cooking, only able to study secretly by moonlight. If her adoptive parents caught her, they'd beat her half to death. Life went on like that until she was 15, when the Song family accidentally discovered the baby swap. After investigating, they went to the mountains and brought Chloe back. But even returning to the Song family didn't bring her happiness. Business people are all about the bottom line, and the Songs were a prime example. They doted on the fake heiress they'd raised for over a decade, who already had the poise of a society belle. They couldn't have cared less about their actual daughter, who reeked of the countryside. So, every time the fake heiress framed Chloe for something, they believed it without question. Chloe gritted her teeth and fought to prove herself, desperate for them to see her for who she was, but they completely ignored her. In the end, Chloe developed severe depression. Utterly disillusioned with the world, she bought a full bottle of sleeping pills, ready to say goodbye to everything. And that's when I arrived. Pathetic. What does dying solve? It's that kind of weakness that lets every Tom, Dick, and Harry walk all over you. I got up, pinched the bottle between 2 fingers, and casually tossed it into the trash. Just then, the door was thrown open. I looked up and met a pair of clear, delicate eyes. They quickly matched the twisted, hideous face from my new memories. This was the cuckoo in the nest, the fake heiress Stella. She held her head high, shoving a used lipstick into my hand as if granting me a favor. Big sis, Mom and Dad said you'll put my name on your final exams again. Consider this your reward. Even though Chloe grew up in the backwoods, she was naturally smart and hardworking, so her grades had always been excellent. After returning to the Song family and getting a top-tier education in the city, her scores skyrocketed. Stella, on the other hand, fully embraced the lifestyle of a socialite, focusing all her energy on art and networking. Her grades barely hovered above passing. The first time Chloe scored top of her class, she thought she could finally get her parents to give her a second glance. But before the report card even made it home, Stella threw a tantrum and threatened to run away, crying about how her terrible grades couldn't compare to the real heiress, and that leaving was the only answer. Her parents immediately hugged Stella, comforting her, then turned on Chloe, scolding her for supposedly flaunting her grades to make Stella feel bad. From then on, the family demanded that Chloe write Stella's name on her exams while Stella wrote Chloe's. They called it crafting the perfect image for the family's heiress. After fighting it and failing time and again, Chloe had simply gone numb and accepted it. I snapped out of the memory, let out a small laugh, and twisted open the lipstick that had been forced into my hand. The mangled, used-up stick of color gleamed with a greasy, nauseating light. Stella smiled sweetly. Mom and Dad just buy me too many. I can never use them all. We can't let things go to waste, so I thought I'd give this to MMPH. Before she could finish, I shoved the lipstick bullet straight into her mouth. Your mouth stinks. Shut it. I hadn't held back, and the motion was fast and violent. Just as I expected, Stella's left front tooth clattered to the floor. She crumpled to the ground in pain, her lips smeared with a sticky red mess. It was hard to tell if it was lipstick or blood gushing from her gums. She seemed completely shocked that I'd fought back, her face a mask of disbelief. Chloe, how dare you? I took a deep, satisfying breath. The smell of blood. So exhilarating. I crouched down, smiled at her, and gently held her head while I ground her face into the floor a few times. So noisy. Let me help you wash your mouth out. With that, I stretched languidly, stepped around her, and walked out the door. Stella's frantic screams echoed from inside the room. I slammed the door shut, cutting off the noise. So annoying. Chloe's body was 5'7", and barely 100 pounds. Her naturally fair skin was a sickly pale from chronic malnutrition. I rummaged through the fridge, grabbing whatever I could find and stuffing it in my mouth. This body felt like it hadn't eaten in ages. My stomach was so empty it felt like my insides were sticking together. How much of a doormat do you have to be to let yourself get into this state? Your life isn't determined by fate. If your environment is holding you back, you change the environment. You don't just bow your head again and again, hoping it will change for you. That's what weak people do. Chloe, since I'm here, I am you now. For all the pain and humiliation you suffered, I'll pay it back to them, 10 times, 100 times over. After filling my stomach, I walked out of the kitchen just in time to see Stella limping down the stairs. She saw me and opened her mouth to say something, but then her eyes darted to the front door and a cunning glint appeared. Right in front of me. She threw herself onto the floor and let out a pained groan. My parents, just home from work, walked in to see this exact scene. My mother dropped her purse and rushed to Stella's side to check on her. Stella, what happened? Did you fall? Are you hurt? My father hurried over too. My precious daughter, are you okay? I hope you're not hurt. Stella, wiping away fake tears, glanced at me pointedly. Today I wanted to bond with my sister, so I gave her my favorite lipstick. I don't know why, but she suddenly hit me and then she pushed me down the stairs. Her voice grew more choked with emotion. I don't know why she would do that. Maybe she thought my lipstick was cheap, or because I'm the adopted one. She thought using my things would taint her. I'm so sorry, Mom, Dad, it's all my fault. Chloe. My mother seethed. Why would you hurt your sister? Since you came back, she's already had to sacrifice and share our love with you. What more do you want? I crossed my arms, watching their little performance with detached amusement. Her voice grosses me out, so I hit her, I said lazily. But I didn't push her. She's faking it. I always own up to what I do. But I'll be damned if anyone tries to pin something on me that I didn't. Chloe. My father roared. You still dare to argue? How could I have raised such a shameless creature? Stella looped her arms through her parents, acting considerate. Dad, Mom, don't be angry. I'm sure my sister didn't mean it. And I'm fine, see? She didn't go all out. I'm not dead, at least I'm still alive. As she spoke, she choked back more sobs. Oh really? I calmly rolled my wrists, grabbed Stella's hair with one hand, and slammed her head against the wall. She should be dead for real this time. I used all my strength. Stella didn't even have time to scream before she passed out. My parents froze, stunned. It took a moment before my father, his eyes bloodshot, lunged at me to slap me. Chloe's body was pathetically weak, but I managed to block his hand with some effort. I gave him a placid smile. Dearest Daddy, if you don't get your precious daughter to a hospital soon, she might not die, but she'll probably end up with brain damage. Hearing that, my father, though his face was red with rage, scrambled to pick Stella up and rushed out the door. Stella ended up being taken to the hospital in an ambulance. Her life wasn't in danger, but she was left with an ugly scar on her forehead. For someone as obsessed with her looks as Stella, it was a devastating blow. The family was obsessed with appearances, so they didn't dare make a scene. They told everyone that Stella had simply fallen down the stairs. But Stella herself wasn't about to let it go. On my first day back at school, a group of mean girls with heavy makeup cornered me in the bathroom. The leader, a girl with purple hair, stubbed out her cigarette. "Chloe, I warned you to stop bullying Stella. Why don't you ever listen?" With that, she grabbed a nearby mop and swung it at my head. I moved faster, yanking her forward. Without a single wasted word, I clamped my hand around her neck and shoved her head into a toilet bowl. She let out a shocked scream and struggled to get away. I clicked my tongue in annoyance, tied up my hair, then switched my hand for my foot, pressing down hard on the back of her head. Her head hit the bottom of the porcelain with a dull thud. She stopped screaming immediately, her protests turning into whimpered pleas for mercy. I kept my foot firmly on her head while my left hand fished a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from her pocket. I looked at her, my voice casual. "You're in high school. You should be studying, not smoking." I let her go and lit a cigarette for myself, sticking it between my lips. The other girls, who hadn't made a move yet, were completely stunned. They pinched their noses and backed away, their earlier arrogance gone. Now they just stood there, terrified that they'd be the next one with a head full of toilet water if they took a single step forward. "Chloe, are you possessed or something?" I scoffed, blowing a cloud of smoke in their faces. According to the original Chloe's memories, this wasn't the first time this group had caused trouble. Every time, under the guise of standing up for Stella, they'd drag Chloe into the bathroom for anything from verbal abuse to a full-on beating. The original Chloe had gone from fighting back to just numbly taking it. These girls had come to see her as a punching bag who would never resist. They never imagined she would one day strike back. Now, they looked at me with pure terror in their eyes. I ignored them, washed my hands at the sink, and walked out without a backward glance. Stella's injuries only looked serious on the surface. After a short recovery, she was back at school. The moment I walked into the classroom, she was clutching her bandaged forehead, tearfully telling a story to a group of students. When she saw me, she instinctively took a step back. "Chloe." A cold male voice cut through the room. I looked up and met a pair of eyes as cold as ice. A sharp pain suddenly shot through my heart. I clutched my chest, surprised by such a strong physical reaction from this body. I squinted, sizing up the young man in front of me. Once his face matched the one in my memories, I understood and dropped my gaze. Leo Vance, Chloe's fiancé. Though fiancé was just a title. The original Chloe was deeply in love with him, but Leo was completely blind, believing every word Stella said and causing the original Chloe just as much pain as her parents did. "Chloe," Leo said, his brow furrowing deeper when I ignored him. "I need you to return the 3,000 in class funds you stole." "Stole money?" I glanced at Stella in the corner with an amused smirk. "She told you that, didn't she? Did you check the security cameras?" Almost everyone in the room was looking at me with contempt, as if it was perfectly natural to pin a theft on me. The homeroom teacher stood in the corner, his eyes fixed on his textbook, not even glancing in our direction. I knew he was just going to let it happen. According to Chloe's memories, this was how it always went whenever she was framed. Leo, who was on the same team as Stella, the classmates, who only believed Stella's side of the story, and the teacher, who couldn't care less. Leo's face darkened. "There's no need to check the cameras. Stella doesn't lie. Besides, this isn't the first time you've done something like this. Chloe, I suggest you hand over the money now. For your parents' sake, I can let this slide. Otherwise, things are going to get ugly." Before I could answer, he reached out to search me. I looked at the cold, handsome boy in front of me, sneered, and in one swift motion, twisted his arm and pinned him against the desk. "Prince Leo, I know our families have an engagement, but trying to feel me up in front of everyone? That's not a good look." Leo froze, his face turning beet red as he glared at me in disgust. "What are you talking about? I have zero interest in you. I'm just trying to find the class funds you're hiding." "Is that so?" I glanced down at my thin sundress. If there was anywhere to hide money on this outfit, it would only be. I deliberately puffed out my chest. Everyone's eyes followed my gaze, and Leo's face went from red to crimson. Chloe, have you no shame? I pretended to cover my chest shyly. You didn't check the cameras, you just took Stella's word for it that I took the money, and now you want to search my body. Isn't that just an excuse to grope me? That's enough, sister. Stella walked over from the corner, a worried look on her face. I saw you take the money with my own eyes. Just give it back. There's no need to say all these ridiculous things to try and hide the truth. I shot the little actress a sidelong glance. The more I looked at her, the more annoyed I got. The next second, I raised my hand and slapped her hard. That felt much better. Stella seemed shocked that I would dare hit her in front of so many people. Her eyes immediately welled up with a mix of anger and humiliation. Leo rushed to her side. Chloe, are you crazy? He roared. I calmly took out a tissue and wiped my hand. Done with their little drama. I looked down at Stella, a manipulative girl who's full of venom, but pretends to be a fragile little flower. Then I shot a disgusted look at Leo, and a moron with zero capacity for independent thought. I clicked my tongue and repeated with a laugh, $3,000? I grabbed Stella by the collar. Are you telling me that you, a nanny's daughter, can afford to wear designer couture worth tens of thousands? But I, the actual daughter of the Song family, have to steal a measly 3,000? What are you talking about? Stella's face turned green with shame and anger. To save face, the Song family had never publicly disclosed my and Stella's real identities. They told everyone we were twins. Stella was the pampered one raised at home, while I was the country bumpkin sent to the sticks for character building before returning. Combined with our parents' extreme favoritism, everyone thought Stella was the true golden child. Just as I expected, my words sent a ripple of murmurs through the classroom. Is Chloe saying Stella isn't the Song's real daughter? Stella's the nanny's kid, and Chloe is the real heiress? Is that for real? It actually makes sense. Why would a rich girl like Chloe steal 3,000? Look at the dress Stella's wearing. It's the new Chanel. That thing costs like 20 grand. Stella was furious. Chloe, you're lying. We're twins, same mother, same father. Why are you slandering me like this? Oh, twins are we? Then why are you wearing clothes that cost tens of thousands while I'm supposedly stealing 3,000? Stella's eyes darted around. That's because your grades are terrible, and I'm always first in our class. Besides, sister, what's mine is yours. My clothes are your clothes. We're a team. How could you say that? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I never knew someone could be so shameless. To steal someone else's achievements and then wave them around like a trophy. But apparently, her explanation worked on everyone else. They all had looks of dawning comprehension. After all, every time Chloe got first place, the name on the report card was Stella's. It wasn't uncommon for wealthy families to favor the child who was more successful and talented. I smirked, my gaze fixed on Stella. I wasn't ready to expose everything just yet. A hunt is best done slowly. It's more fun to watch your prey lose hope bit by bit. Is that so, little sister? I leaned in close to her. Under her panicked gaze, I pulled a bank card from her purse. $3,000 is nothing, I said with a cold laugh, then turned to the homeroom teacher who was watching from the corner. There must be at least a few million in this account. I'm donating it all to the school. Of course, Mr. Henderson, you can take out, say, 30,000 for class funds. With that, I quickly stuffed the card into the teacher's hand. Mr. Henderson was the definition of a suck-up. He'd always seen how much more the Songs valued Stella, so he'd turned a blind eye to everything she did to me. Whatever Stella said, he took as gospel, never bothering to find the truth. But in the face of cold, hard cash, the persona he'd built up crumbled instantly. His eyes lit up as he took the card, hastily stuffing it into his pocket. Even though it was a donation to the school, he could surely skim a little off the top for himself. No one would ever know. Stella shrieked and tried to grab it back. What are you doing? That's my card. I covered my mouth in mock surprise. Oh, but sister, weren't you just saying we're a team? That what's yours is mine? Does that not apply to your bank card? Stella bit her lip, her heart aching as she looked at the card. Of course not. What's mine is yours. But sister, you can't just throw away so much money to save face. I leaned closer. Throw it away? I'm donating it in the Song family's name. I'm doing charity work for our family. Unless you don't want to donate the money to the school, little sister? Of course I do. Of course she didn't. The family deposited $50,000 a month into that account for her allowance. Add in holiday bonuses and the tens of thousands her parents casually gave her, and that card probably had close to $1 million on it. It was basically her entire net worth. When I first arrived, I checked the original Chloe's bank account. It had $500. The Songs claimed they didn't want Chloe, fresh from the countryside, to be corrupted by sudden wealth, so they only gave her $1,000 a month. The original Chloe never cared about the money. All she wanted was for her real parents to pay a little more attention to her, to care about her just a little bit. And for that, she ended up. Leo, who had witnessed everything, stood there with a deep frown, his eyes blazing with fury. Chloe, what gives you the right to use Stella's money for your so-called charity? Give that card back right now. I scoffed. And who are you to lecture me? Then I leaned in and whispered in his ear, the other students might not know Stella's real identity, but you do. So back off. Unless you want me to grab a megaphone and announce to the whole world that she's the nanny's daughter. Leo froze, trembling with impotent rage. The Vance and Song families had been friends for generations. Our grandfathers had arranged our marriage when we were children. After Grandpa Song passed away, Grandpa Vance became even more committed to honoring the pact he'd made with his dear friend. Before I returned, Stella was the one engaged to Leo. Grandpa Vance was old-fashioned and sentimental. As soon as I was back, he insisted on switching the engagement from Stella to me. He wouldn't budge, despite protests from my parents and Leo himself. Leo, however, believed he and his dear Stella were soulmates, childhood sweethearts. He didn't care if she was a true Song or not. He saw Chloe as the villain who had ruined his relationship with Stella. That, combined with Stella's daily slander, made his hatred for Chloe grow deeper and deeper. And in those short 2 years, the original Chloe had fallen completely in love with him. The homeroom teacher, seeing his chance, moved quickly. Afraid we'd change our minds, he clutched the card and hurried away. I will be sure to announce the Song Corporation's generous contribution to the entire school. He called back before disappearing. After that whole fiasco, the way the other students looked at me and Stella was much more complicated. Stella was so angry her face was pale, but she had to maintain her gentle, magnanimous facade. As she walked past me, she whispered in my ear, "You just wait." I closed my eyes, a sense of pleasant anticipation washing over me. It had been a long time since anyone dared to say that to me. Fine. I'll wait. Don't disappoint me, dear sister. That night when I got home, I had just opened the door when a metal ashtray came flying straight at my face. I dodged to the right, caught it, and threw it back without breaking a sweat. Crash. The glass coffee table in the center of the living room shattered. You. My father roared, jumping to his feet. You dare to rebel? You dare to fight back? I calmly closed the door. Should I have just let you smash my face in with it? That's enough. My mother shot me a harsh glare. I heard you were bullying Stella at school again, and that you donated her bank card away. I shrugged. I made a donation in the family's name. It makes the Songs look good. What's wrong with that? If you want to donate, use your own money. My father yelled. Why did you take Stella's? After he said that, the entire living room fell silent. I laughed. Donate what? The $1,000 a month you give me? At that, they both awkwardly averted their eyes. You still shouldn't have taken Stella's money, my mother said, her posture stiffening again. We don't give you a large allowance because we don't want you bringing your country bumpkin habits here. We're doing this for your own good. I rubbed my ears, my patience wearing thin. Looking at them, all I wanted to do was end it. 1, 2, 3 quick stabs and it would all be over. But thinking of the system's mission and its promise, I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths, forcing myself to calm down. Seeing my silence, my father spoke again impatiently. Your arrival not only forced Stella to share our love, but you also stole her fiancé. It's incredibly gracious of her not to hold it against you. As the older sister, you should love and protect her, not frame her and antagonize her at every turn. My mother crossed her arms. Tomorrow are your final exams. Remember to write your sister's name, just like before. Do that, and we'll let all of this go. I let out a soft laugh. No. My parents instantly exploded. Chloe, how can you be so selfish? Stella is your sister. Even if you don't care about her, you should care about the Song family's reputation. The Song family's reputation. Piling all the glory onto Stella while forcing all the mediocrity and shame onto me. As long as the Song family had one perfect, brilliant heiress, they were satisfied. The other one could just be left to rot. What kind of parents in this world would allow something like that to happen? I looked at them calmly. I'm going upstairs to study. Don't bother me unless you want me to broadcast Stella's real parentage to the entire world. With that, I walked upstairs, ignoring the screams and curses from below. Stella. Tomorrow's final exam will be the first irreversible turning point in your perfect little life. I hope you're looking forward to it. The next day, the final exams went ahead as scheduled. When I got the test paper, I carefully wrote down my name. Chloe Song. The original Chloe's memories were crystal clear. Looking at the questions, they felt as familiar and simple as breathing. After the exams, I calculated my score based on the answer key. Barring any surprises, I was still number 1 in the school. But on the day the results were posted, my name was nowhere on the honor roll. First place, Stella Song. I frowned and walked further down the hall, until I finally saw my name on the wall. 590th place, Chloe Song. Stella got first place again. She beat the second place person by dozens of points. That's insane. I know, right? Stella's beautiful and smart. No wonder the Songs favor her. That other one, Chloe, not only has bad grades, but I hear she's a terrible person too. Stella emerged from a crowd of admirers, a modest smile on her face. As she passed me, she gave a subtle smirk as if to say, "So what if you wrote your own name? Whatever I want, I get." She patted my shoulder with mock sympathy. "All right, everyone, stop talking about my sister. Sometimes hard work isn't enough. It's not her fault her grades are bad." Her words only earned her more praise. "Stella, you're just too kind sticking up for her like that. I bet Chloe really did steal that 3,000. She probably just used your money to play the hero and cover her tracks. So disgusting." "Exactly. She's such a vicious, awful person." I let out a soft laugh. It wasn't hard to figure out. With the Song family's influence, bribing the school administration to switch the names on the tests would have been child's play. They really would stop at nothing. "Sister," I said suddenly, turning to her with a warm smile. "There was actually a math problem I didn't understand. Could I ask you about it?" Stella kept her smile fixed. "Of course, but we can discuss little things like that at home." Her eyes gleamed with triumph, as if to say that no matter what I did, she would always win. I ignored her and pressed on. "I just wanted to ask about the trigonometry fill in the blank. Why was the answer sinks equals 1? And for the last chemistry question, why was the final answer calcium oxide?" Stella tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, completely unfazed. "The sinks equals 1 answer, well, it only took me a few minutes to solve, but it might be a bit hard for you to understand, sister. I can walk you through it on scratch paper tonight at home. As for the chemistry question, I thought it was pretty simple. I guess I just do a lot of practice problems." She finished with a sympathetic smile. But the hallway was silent. There was none of the praise she was expecting. The student who'd placed second in the class, standing in the corner, spoke up hesitantly. "Stella, are you sure the answer to that math problem was sinks equals 1? Stella hesitated for a moment, then glanced at the results board where her name was listed with a perfect score in math. She replied confidently, "Of course. I'm positive the answer was 1. More silence. I finally broke it, unable to hold back a drawl. "Sister, the answer to that problem was indeed 1. But it was cos B equals 1. The variable sinks wasn't even in the question." Her face went pale. I smiled and continued, "Oh, and the last chemistry problem didn't yield calcium oxide. It was iron oxide." "You're so smart, sister. Do you know what iron oxide is?" Stella was both furious and shocked, her hands clenched into fists trembling. I patted her on the shoulder. Iron oxide is basically rust. Scrap metal. Just like you, sister. Useless. You. How dare you insult me? I ignored her, pulling a megaphone out of my backpack and turning the volume to max. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure anyone with eyes has already figured it out. Stella's scores aren't real. How could a real top student not even remember the questions on a test they supposedly aced? Why did Stella, who was barely passing freshman year, suddenly become #1 in the school? I advanced on her, megaphone in hand. It's because she, Stella Song, has been stealing my scores, exam after exam. And I, Chloe Song, was forced to write her name on my papers. The crowd erupted in an uproar. Stella screamed frantically, "You're lying. I earned my grades myself. You're slandering me." I just misspoke because the questions were so easy I forgot the details. I smiled calmly, having anticipated this exact response. It's very simple to prove yourself. I pulled 2 test papers from my bag. Let's do it right here, right now. We'll complete this test within the time limit. Then we'll all see who's lying, won't we? Stella's eyes widened at the sight of the papers. In a voice only I could hear, she hissed, "You planned this, Chloe. You set me up. Did you also know Mom and Dad were involved in swapping the tests?" I looked at her placidly. Of course I knew about their little schemes. But if I hadn't played along, how could I have set the stage for this wonderful drama? "Well, sister?" I waved the papers in my hand. My lips curled into a smirk. "You game?" Stella shot me a furious glare, then suddenly leaned against the wall, clutching her head as if in great pain. "I'm sorry, sister. I'm not feeling well today. I'm afraid I don't have time for your childish games." "Playing sick, huh?" I saw that coming. I didn't say another word. I just raised the megaphone again, hit the play button, and cranked the volume. "You planned this, Chloe. You set me up. Did you also know Mom and Dad were involved in swapping the tests?" Stella's deliberately hushed voice, amplified by the megaphone, echoed clearly through the entire hall. She flinched as if struck and lunged for the megaphone. She charged at me, enraged, clearly having never imagined I would record what she'd just said. "You planned this, Chloe. You set me up. Did you also know Mom and Dad were involved in swapping the tests?" "You planned this, Chloe. You set me up. Did you also know Mom and Dad were involved in swapping the tests?" "You planned this, Chloe. You set me up. Did you also know Mom and Dad were involved in swapping the tests?" I kept playing the recording on a loop. The expressions on everyone's faces grew more and more complex. With a confession like that, there was nothing left to misunderstand. I put the megaphone away and grabbed Stella's arm without ceremony. "Sorry, sister. You're coming with me to the principal's office. I want you to apologize to me in front of the entire school." "No. I'm not going. You tricked me. I'm calling Mom and Dad." "Let go of me, Chloe. Let go. You bitch." She struggled wildly, her screams deafening. I frowned, annoyed, and with a quick twist of her arm, I pinned her and hooked an arm around her neck. Then I simply dropped her to the floor and started dragging her away. So loud. "Don't worry, I already called Mom and Dad. They're on their way." Of course they had to come. If they didn't, my next move wouldn't be nearly as effective. The principal was a decent, fair-minded man. The moment I laid out all the evidence, he immediately started drafting a letter to clear my name. Stella, standing nearby, was seething, her eyes red with rage. She started tearing things up like a wild animal, screaming, "My parents aren't here yet. You can't convict me of anything. They won't let me suffer like this." As soon as the words left her mouth, my mother burst into the office. Stella immediately latched onto her like a drowning person grabbing a lifeline. Mom, help me." My mother brushed her hand away dismissively and rushed over to me instead. "Hurry. We have to go. We have to save your father. He was in a car accident on his way here. If we don't go now, it'll be too late." I calmly pulled my arm free. "He was in a car accident, so you should find a doctor, not me." "I'm not a doctor." My mother was sweating with anxiety. "What are you talking about? Your father is at the hospital right now. You both have AB negative blood. None of the nearby hospitals have any on hand. You're his biological daughter. Only you can save him." I laughed nonchalantly. "Oh, isn't Stella your daughter too? Make her go." My mother's brow furrowed. She's not our biological child. Not your biological child? I feigned a thoughtful expression. Not your biological child. Yet she gets a $50,000 monthly allowance while I get $1,000? She wears designer couture while I wear clothes from strip malls? I earn the top scores in the school, and I have to write her name on my tests. Mrs. Song, go ask anyone on the street who they think is your real daughter based on how you act. My mother looked down embarrassed. Chloe, let me explain. From now on, you'll get $50,000 a month too. Just please, go to the hospital and save your dad. You want me to save him? Fine, I said, sitting down leisurely. Announce the truth about me and Stella on the company's official social media accounts. Publicly admit that Stella has been stealing my grades for years. Then you will legally separate the subsidiary from the main corporation and transfer all shares of the subsidiary to me. You. My mother was so shocked she nearly collapsed. You, how dare you make such demands? Don't want to? Fine by me. I'm leaving. You can let the old man die. My mother grabbed me, her voice filled with anguish. Fine. I'll agree to your terms. With my father out of commission, my mother, who had always revolved around him, was completely lost. She didn't even have time to spare for her precious Stella. She hastily published the clarification about our identities on the corporate accounts and signed the subsidiary share transfer documents. I kept my end of the bargain. I went to the hospital, got my blood typed, and gave the transfusion. During the time my father was unconscious, the announcement from the Song Corporation caused a massive stir online. Everyone in our social circle now knew that Stella was the nanny's daughter, and that everything she had enjoyed had been stolen from me. In addition to the exam fraud, many students who knew the truth came forward with stories of all the other times she had framed me. In an instant, the perfect image Stella had so carefully crafted completely shattered. She was too scared to even go to school, choosing to hide at home instead. Soon, the police brought Stella in for questioning on charges of academic fraud and identity theft. My mother was too busy taking care of my father at the hospital to deal with her. A full week passed before Stella was released. When she got home, she glared at me with a haggard face and hissed, "I will make you pay for this." I gave her a polite smile in return. After that incident, Leo came to see me once. His expression was grave. "Chloe, I know you were wronged, but Stella was just scared of being abandoned when you came back. That's why she did those things. You have to forgive her. If you make a public statement of forgiveness, our engagement can still stand. If you don't, I'll go straight to my grandfather and have him call it off." I didn't say a word. I just raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. "Who the hell do you think you are? Don't disgust me." Leo, with his fragile pride, never showed his face in front of me again. Everything was going exactly as I'd planned. Until the day I received my acceptance letter for early admission to Stanford. My father, who had been in a coma, woke up. When he learned what I had done to Stella, he flew into a rage. He summoned me to his hospital room and tried to force me to sign a letter of forgiveness for her. Stella stood beside him, a triumphant, hateful look in her eyes. I smiled pleasantly and poured him a cup of tea. "Dad, instead of worrying about your darling daughter, maybe you should think about your own future." His brow furrowed. What do you mean?" "Oh, Mom didn't tell you?" I said cheerfully. "It's nothing really. She just transferred all the shares of the subsidiary company to me." "You little monster." My father was so furious he almost choked. My mother rushed to his side, patting his back. "Honey, what's wrong? That subsidiary was just for show anyway. It's no big deal that we gave it to her." Without a word, my father slapped her across the face. "You idiot. You've ruined the entire company." I listened to their argument with a sense of satisfaction. The main Song Corporation was a hollowed-out shell. The real power and all the valuable assets had long been moved to the subsidiary. All that was left of the main company was its name. But my father had kept this a secret, so of course my mother had no idea. If I hadn't been sneaking into his study every night to investigate, I would never have discovered this wonderful surprise. "How is the company ruined, Dad?" I smiled. "Putting it in the hands of a brilliant daughter, like me, will surely be better than leaving it with an old fool who can't tell right from wrong." My father's face went white with rage, his finger trembling as he pointed at me. Oh, by the way, I added. I've sold the house. I donated the money to those country folk in the mountains you look down on so much. I did buy you a 2-bedroom apartment in a nearby town, though. The deed is in the drawer of your nightstand. A sudden realization seemed to dawn on my father. He swallowed his anger, his expression complex. My car accident, that was you, wasn't it? This was all a setup, from the very beginning. I looked at him, thrilled. What do you think, Dad? Your real daughter's methods are just as good as yours, if not better, right? With that, I let out a happy whistle, pushed past my mother and Stella, who were both too stunned to speak, and walked out of the room. I could hear my father's roars and my mother's sobs behind me. I didn't care. After I got home that day, I placed my Stanford acceptance letter in the new villa I'd bought. I opened the Notes app on my phone and recorded every detail of what had happened. Once everything was done, I booked a flight to Northern Europe. My phone kept pushing news updates about the Song family. From not having enough money to pay for the rest of the medical bills, to my father being unceremoniously thrown out when he tried to return to the Song Corporation. From Stella being expelled for academic fraud, to Grandpa Vance, in a fit of rage after she tried to cling to their family, sending Leo abroad with strict orders that they were never to see each other again. And my mother went from being a pampered socialite who had never cooked a meal to a housewife who did endless chores and had to endure her husband's constant anger. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. Chloe Song, this is the life I have reclaimed for you. One afternoon, as I was lazily sunbathing on a small island in Norway, the system's voice echoed in my mind again. My body began to feel light, ethereal. I closed my eyes, accepting it. Chloe Song, I hope you can make the most of the surprise I've left you. And now, it's time for me to go be the Chloe Song of the other world, and to take on the responsibilities that she should have shouldered.